Sara is
All right.
finally somebody up here that I actually got to see play. Sara is, for those who don't know, I think without question, the greatest softball player ever at Valpo University. So quite an accomplishment.
Thanks.
I think that's pretty much the overall thought by the athletic department. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on getting to the Hall of Fame. Let's start by how you ended up at Valpo.
Oh gosh. Well, I was playing at a showcase in California, and my coach came up to me and said, "Hey, there's a coach here from Valparaiso, from Valpo." And I said, and I'm from Arizona, and I was like, where's Valpo? And so I met Coach Schneider, and he brought me out here for a visit, and I immediately fell in love with the campus. It's, beautiful. It was such a family-oriented atmosphere. The team was such a family. And so I was really looking for a place that I could be part of a program and not just kind of be an afterthought. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
And you ended up, we talk about great memories, you ended up not only having a great career individually, but you guys, it was kind of the heyday of Valpo softball.
Yeah.
You had the great run, 42 wins the one season. Maybe a couple of your favorite memories from those years.
Oh gosh. Well, when I think about my favorite memories, going to the NCAA tournament was great and I loved it, but all of the memories that I really hold dear to my heart all had to do with just my team and all the memories that we made together. Is this working?
Yeah, you're good.
Is it? Okay. And we, it's just things like when we were untarping the field one day and it was soaked, and so instead of untarping it right away, we made it into a giant slip and slide. And we're out there getting soaked, just having fun. And, my friend, when I got here as a freshman, my friend Joy and I, we just wanted to play. It didn't really matter where we played, we just wanted to play. And my coach said to me, well, we already have someone in center field, so if you want to play, you're going to have to try to play second base. And I said, all right, I've done that before, that's fine. And so I remember Joy and I going up on top of Hilltop, and Coach Schneider had us strap up in catcher's gear. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? So we're in all this gear, we have a catcher's mask on, and he put us in in the batting cage and turned the pitching machine down to where it just launched balls at us. And so we're in there with our gloves getting balls launched at us, and we're in catcher's gear so that we don't get totally pelted, but we were both up there going, oh my gosh. But we would have done whatever we needed to do just to play. So, things like that, meeting my roommates after class, to have them throw pitches to us. I mean, all of us were just so driven to want to be better that we all pushed each other to be better. So all of my favorite memories include everybody else. Driving down, we used to, oh my gosh, we used to take road trips down to Florida every year. We didn't fly back then. We took a bus, and when we were freshmen, I remember the seniors loved the show The Office, and I'm sure it's funny, but I hate the show The Office now because they watched it the whole way down. It's like a 24-hour drive down there, and they watched it over and over and over. And I remember I was trying to sleep on the bus, and I'd sleep in the aisle on the floor, and you would just hear that awful song at the very beginning of the show over and over. So I'm sure it's a great show, but it was ruined for me through that. But it's just things like that I look back on, and that's really my friends and my family, my coaches, that's really what made my experience here, what it was.
Maybe tell us a little bit about when you went to the NCAA tournament, what happened there?
Okay.
Your overall experience there.
I mean, that was just so cool. I mean, especially being one of the first softball team to go. I remember we were going out to the bus, and we had a going away party. People were cheering for us as we left. I mean, it was just such a cool experience to be a part of. And all of us just knew how big of a deal that was. So it was definitely something that we didn't take for granted. I didn't love losing, and I still don't like losing. But I mean, just to kind of like pave the way and put Valpo's name on the map, like was really something that we were all just so proud of.
Okay, let's go to post-Valpo and kind of what took place in school sort of paved the way for the rest of your life.
What paved the way in Valpo for the rest of my
Yes.
life? Okay, well, so do you mean like?
Work-wise?
Okay, great, thanks. That's what I just kind of thought, but I wanted to make sure I was going the right way. So I actually, when I left Valpo, it was so funny. I applied for Teach for America and got accepted, and I put down all these really great places, like, oh, I'd totally go to Hawaii, like, yeah, that'd be great. Chicago, cool. Well, I actually put Memphis on my list because when I was going through it, I said, oh, Memphis, like that's in Tennessee. Like there's mountains in Tennessee. I love mountains being from Arizona. So I got placed in Memphis and I moved there and I remember going, there's no mountains here. It is like just green and flat and just not really what I expected, but I haven't left. I met my husband there, I had a child there. So, you know, I've fallen in love with the city. But so I ended up there and, you know, I taught for 2 years. And actually, it was funny when I got there, actually, when I was here, I went to school for sociology and criminology, and I so badly wanted to be a juvenile probation officer. I loved it. I interned at the detention center here, and it was just so fun. And I applied for a job there, and they kind of dragged their feet a little bit, and eventually I had to move to Memphis, because I said I was. And I moved to Memphis, and 3 days after being there, my mom and my stepdad and we were shopping at Target, and I got a phone call saying I got the job. And I was like, oh. So my parents, they were like, you know what, if you really want to take that job, we'll like pack up the moving truck and we can drive back up there. And, you know, it was such a God thing. I mean, I knew like if he really wanted me here, I would have gotten that job, you know, earlier. But I knew at that point in time like that Memphis was where I needed to be, and that was kind of like the path that he wanted to lead me on. So I ended up in Memphis. I coached softball at the high school that I taught at, and man, they were not good. We like, oh gosh, most of the girls, so I taught at a Title I school, so a lot of the girls, you know, didn't play sports until they got into school and it was high school and it was offered to them. And so, some of the girls, I mean, there was one, I had my first practice, and you know, it was like, okay, you showed up to tryouts, like you're on my team. Like I need a team at this point. And I remember us standing there watching this one girl one day, and I was like, looking at her, I'm like, she is throwing really weird. Like I can't figure it out, what is going on? Well, I realized that she was like catching the ball, taking her glove off, and then throwing the ball, and I was like, huh. And I walked up to her and I said, hey, like, are you left-handed or are you right-handed? Like, what do you write with? And she's like, oh, I write with my right hand. And I'm like, okay, you bought a left-handed glove, because she thought because she was right-handed that she needed to like have the glove on her right hand. So she would catch the ball and she'd take it off and like tuck it under and throw it back. I'm like, let me bring you like a new glove tomorrow. So, I mean, like, so just being able to kind of like have experiences like that and introduce, you know, something that was so like near and dear to my heart to these girls that have, you know, never been given the opportunity to play was something really special. My husband would say that I wasn't the best coach because I knew too much, and so I was really into it and was talking the whole time, and you know, but it was just so fun.
Do you want to thank your husband?
I mean,
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, husband. You're great. Thanks for helping me coach. I coached women's soccer at the high school too, and he claims that I'm a better coach at women's soccer, but I think that's just because he was there to help me. He referees soccer and is pretty good. He referees professional soccer, so I was like, hey, can you kind of come out here and help me? I don't totally know what to do, and so I think it was him that I was a better coach there.
Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Sarah, Strickland,
Oh, can I thank other people?
Yes,
before
please
I
thank
finish?
everybody.
Oh, great. I want to thank more people. I'm not done up here. So that's my husband back there with my new son. His name's Ezekiel. and he's 5 months old. And I'm now a parent, and I'm totally realizing like how difficult parenting is. Shocker. But I have like such a new appreciation for my parents and like all this, the time. I mean, I don't know where they had time to do all this stuff with me. We traveled so much, and how much money was put into me traveling all over the country to be able to play. My whining when my dad would say, okay, we're out here taking 10 more ground balls until you catch them all. And I was like, I just want to go home. I mean, like, they put up with a lot. And so I know that, like, without them, I wouldn't be here. So, like, thanks to my parents. And my biggest fan, Gordon, is here today. He actually was back when I was here, we had the Hilltop Club. And we actually would volunteer there for softball to kind of make a little bit of extra money. And a lot of the season ticket holders for basketball would come, and we'd serve them a meal, and it was just a nice time, I think, for them to socialize. But it was just a great way for us to get to know people. And man, I met Gordon one day, and we sat, I think, and we talked for like an hour before the basketball game. And ever since then, he was Valpo softball's biggest fan. At every single game, he has a T-shirt that says Valpo softball with our name on it. I mean, incredible. So it was such a nice thing to have just people in the community that were so supportive of our program as well. So thanks to Gordon as well.